Then he taught me, and he said to me, "Take hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you." So, today, making a video not on a serious topic necessarily, but making a video about my prop that you guys usually see in my video. I say prop, but, it's just what I have to do most of my explanations by. I talk a lot about it, and I figured I owed an explanation video for kind of what it is, how it is, and everything that I have done to it, and kind of why, I guess. And I guess I don't owe it either, but it's just something that I want to do. But kind of going to go front to back, and then we'll hop into the interior and look at some of that. First, obvious thing on the very front is these bad boys. These are Morimoto. I don't remember the model, but they're Morimoto headlights, LED projectors with the, with the switchbacks and the running lights that run in the sea around it. I bought the truck with these. I actually didn't have to buy these, but I'm the biggest advocate for aftermarket headlights, especially on a truck that comes with halogens, or a vehicle. Doesn't even have to be a truck that comes with halogens. I think this is the most worthwhile upgrade. Now, these are from Morimoto, I think $1,500 to $1,700. A little expensive, but you can always find a better option. But one of my favorite things that's done to the truck. These are so good at night. They make the truck look amazing, and I think they're better than any of the stock versions of the headlights you can get. And I just love them. While we're talking about the front of the truck, something that might not be so obvious and something you might not be able to see is the Tremor air dam that I have done, which is just the air dam is this piece here that hangs below on most trucks, and I might have a stock picture I can throw on screen of when I bought this thing, but the stock ones are ugly. They're horrible, and especially when you're out in an environment such as this, you get into a lot of spots where they tear off. Ask me how I know. I've got a 23 for a work truck that has got some holes in the front of it because I've gone down a couple things that probably shouldn't have, but that's neither here nor there. But I think it was $130, well worth doing. Usually these trucks will have some frame horns that stick below right about here and here, just along the line of the frame, usually right under the tow hooks. Those are also gone to allow for some extra ground clearance. Another thing up front here is these 5-inch aux beam amber pod lights, or ditch lights as some people call them. I love these things. I have ditch lights on almost every one of my vehicles, and I have had them, will continue to have them. One of the most worthwhile upgrades. I know there's a lot of debate about whether they look good or how they look on most trucks, but in my eyes, it's one of the most worthwhile things you can do. Headlights are great, but when you're out and about, even on the highway when I'm towing, and I'm out somewhere real late that doesn't have a lot of highway lights, I use them coming through Wyoming and Nebraska. Actually, when I first put them on with my trailer, it makes all the difference in the world. So worth it. Auxbeam provides the mount here, but the mount to the hood, I think, was SDHQ. These are a little expensive. I think the pod lights were, I want to say, probably $100, and the mounts I think were $120. Not for each, but the pair. But they mount just to the underside of the hood. Well worth it. All right, so next thing I have done is the most obvious probably is these 17-inch methods. They're NV305s finished in silver. I love this rim. I love the look that they give the truck. I was originally considering going black, and one of my friends actually told me that I should go silver to help match the truck a little bit, and I'm so glad I did. They do great. They are matched with this Toyo RT Trail. It's the new version that they came out with. It's a 37, 12.5, 17. I love them. They're a fantastic tire. I've towed across the country with them. They've got great road manners for towing. And they've done great out here in the Nevada deserts for me so far. I haven't had them through either a lot of rain or a lot of snow, but just in the time I've had them, probably 5,000 miles, I'm super happy with how they've done. So next thing we'll move into is the leveling kit that's on this truck. Typically, when you see a lot of trucks spec'd out like this, people will go with a Carly leveling kit, and that was one of the ones I considered when I was going into this. But I like a lot of the Icon products that Icon does for Toyota. They perform really well, and I decided I wanted to try that out on this truck. So I've got a Icon Stage 1 with coils and shocks on this truck, as well as their extended brake line kit, which you might not be able to see as well. But this leveling kit's done pretty good. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a lot of experience with anything else for these trucks, but from what I've seen and towing with it and off-roading with it, it's done pretty darn good. So we'll move to the start moving to the rear. All right, so continuing on here at the back, I'm gonna try and slow myself down a little bit because I get excited about talking about some of the stuff I've done, and I just ramble forever. So starting top down here, I've got this WeBoost cellular antenna installed on the headache rack. I actually got introduced to these because of my work, and they're one of the best things that anyone that works out remotely or is out in remote conditions pretty often can do to their vehicle. I believe it's amazing. It really does help get signal when you're out in conditions like this, and I'm grateful to have it. The headache rack it's attached to is an aluminum DZ. That's literally the brand name is DEEZEE. Headache rack, it's the model that comes just above the cab line. I love the look of this thing. I don't have a ton of practical uses for it, but I do tow gooseneck that I'm often having to put into some tight spots, so having this here is a little peace of mind, and also to have things go up onto the cab if I need to is really helpful. And I also just think it looks killer installed on the truck. Next, I've got my Craftsman, I believe it's a 20-inch toolbox. This was the first toolbox I ever bought new. I'm a Facebook Marketplace fiend, probably like a lot of you. And when I bought this truck, I decided that, you know what? I spent all this money on a fancy truck, might as well spend some money on a toolbox. Worst mistake of my life. It's a good toolbox, don't get me wrong, but I found so much better on Marketplace, and I could have saved myself some money by just going on Marketplace and getting one, but it does the job. It actually fits perfectly. The one I had picked up off of Marketplace, funny enough, for this thing was a 28-inch, so it stuck past, you can probably see it a little better on that side, the edge of the aluminum headache rack and its mounts, so it ended up not fitting with the gooseneck hitch and also just looking like shit. So this one came back on the truck, and it's done me a good job. I like it a lot. Speaking of things that are in the bed of the truck, I've got a B&W gooseneck hitch kit in this thing. I didn't ever think I'd be towing a gooseneck with this truck, but the time was right and kind of the conditions were right for me to get my first trailer when I did. This truck has been the only truck that's ever towed it, and it's done fantastic, honestly. It's been all the way from Tennessee to, I think Nevada's the furthest west it's been. So, done really well with it on the back. It has really good road manners. It was expensive to get done, don't get me wrong. I think the kit was about $600, and the install was pretty similar, so with tax, and by the time everything was said and done, it was about $1,500 all in to have the complete kit. But again, well worth it, and very thankful to have that kit on. Oh, and I'll go back over. This toolbox from Lowe's, I think, was $450. These WeBoosts, brand new, are, I think, $550 without tax, but we end up getting a lot of them from my work, so thankfully I was able to get an extra. And the headache rack was $300 and some change. All things well worth doing. Now, the next couple of things I can only just kind of point at because I wanted to be able to see them for the video, but working our way down now, I've got these hitch lights from BMC Lights. Those were pretty expensive, I'm not going to lie, and I'm not sure worth the investment or not, in my opinion, very much so. I like to have tint on my trucks, which I'll go over once I get up to the cab, and being able to see out of them at night or see back towards the trailer, even with the windows down at night, having these is so worth it. I chose these 7-inch Race Sport mains and then the BMC inserts towards the end that cast light off the side. They're fantastic. I've also got the option for the strobe lights, if you're able to see that on the video. Again, well worth option in my opinion for a modification. I use the absolute living daylights out of them, and I love having them. Last thing, kind of towards the back here, that you'll see is my Gen Y hitch. It's a 2.5-inch shank, obviously 3-hole, 6-inch drop. I've got the pintle with that. You can see it's seen some use. I'm very blessed to work over a lot of different parts of the country, and that thing is seeing a lot of work, and I'm always a personal testament for Gen Y and the product that they make. I know this hitch is rated for, I think it's 21,000 pounds on the tongue, and I can personally guarantee you it is rated for that and a lot more. I've probably had, doing some quick math in my head, I've probably had about that on the tongue and probably 4,000 or 5,000 pounds more in gross weight off the rear, and it's done just fine, and I never had any worry about it. It's the only trailer hitch I'll ever buy, period, bar none. And I basically only buy this version of it, and it does pretty well. It doesn't ride any better than most of the other trailer hitches on the market, but there's none that you can put through what I've put this one through that would survive. And I can tell you that because I switched to these when I snapped and I can tell you that because I snapped another brand in half. And when we got these at work, I started looking around for my own, and it's the only one I use at work, and it's the only one I use on my personal stuff for that exact reason. So to wrap up the rear end here really quickly, I realized I didn't go over the suspension package that's in the rear, which thankfully it's not much. It's just the same Icon non-reservoir shocks. They're 2-inch. I think they're Icon 2.5s that are back here. But I don't have any leaf springs, airbags, nothing like that. It's just the stock leaf springs that come from Ford, and then these the shocks from Icon. And I'd also like to say that I'm not sponsored by any of these brands. This is just, in my personal opinion, the best stuff that's on the market, besides the lift. Not to say that the lift isn't good, but it was just something that I wanted to try. But I pay for all my own stuff. I don't get sent any of this. I paid for all these parts. I have no contact with anyone at any of the brands. This, again, is just, I think it's the best stuff that you can use for your truck, for my truck personally, and so that's why I buy it. I think, like I say, Method's one of the best wheel brands you can buy for an off-road aftermarket wheel. I think Toyo makes some of the best tires. BF Goodrich has a good couple that I like personally. But like I say, it's stuff that I put my name behind because I think it's the best stuff, not necessarily that any of these companies want anything to do with me or pay for any of these parts. All right, now we're looking at the interior here, just to wrap up and go over a couple final things. I believe the only thing I really have done to the interior of this thing is these bullet point mounts here. I've got one on the left for my phone, on the right for my iPad. As you can see, I'm running Onyx off-road on it. Really sweet program. Love everything about it and everything that it's got going on. But I wasn't lying when I said it was basic. It's rubber floors, cloth. So last thing to go over is the tint on the truck. I've got, I believe it's 25% on the front and then 15% on the rears here. Tint was already done when I got the truck, and I just haven't found the time or the want to go back and redo it, spend the money to do my usual full kit on it, which usually I'll do 5 on the fronts and then a 5% film over that. So it'll be about 2% over the entire rear by the time I'm done. And I'm not a fan of windshield tint. I don't do it, but look at the views we got out here today. It's just awesome. It's just really cool. The final thing before I forget about it is the Kicker Audio door speakers that I have done, but they're really basic, nothing too entirely special. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the truck tour. If you guys have questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys may have. And yeah, y'all have a good one.